Hi, John here. It's mid-October 2025, and as some of you might have noticed, I have now decided to name my YouTube channel. I never used to have a name before, because most of the focus was just on the one long playlist or series of videos under the I Suspect My IT Pro Bro name, of course, and that one still exists and will be added to, and as a matter of fact, this video is going to be part of that playlist, that series. But I've also decided to name the channel now to make it easier to remember. It's called Massive Matters, so all one word, Massive Matters. And if you Google that, or it might not come up on Google, but it does come up on YouTube if you just put in Massive Matters. If you want to refer the channel to someone else, because there are some other videos on my channel now also, besides the I Suspect My IT Pro series. I'm adding some other videos as well. But the main reason to name it is, again, to make it more compact of a name. If you want to tell someone about it, just tell them, check out Massive Matters on YouTube, and then they'll come across it. Including, of course, prominently will be that playlist I Suspect My IT Pro Bro. But there will be at least one more playlist and some individual videos as well. Now, there's been a lot of accidents, a lot of airplane accidents this year in 2025. I have not done any videos on air crashes yet this year, but it's not for lack of noticing. Believe me, I noticed the suspicious crashes, and there's been a shitload of suspicious air crashes this year, 2025. And I have a lot to do, but as part of what I consider my duties to humanity is highlighting some of these suspicious air disasters. I don't know if I can get to all of them, because there's the ones from this year. There's still some other ones from previous years that I still have to compile the information together. Screenshots, notes, blah blah blah. Put it all together, and of course there's a cell tower issue I'm doing, and plus there's a lot of offline campaigning I'm doing also, for this cause of hacked, jacked up cell towers and hacked, crashed vehicles, right? So there's a lot I'm doing. I can't even mention it all. Some of it I can't even mention now. All will be revealed in the future, but I'm very busy, so I'm going to do this. But I am still going to find some time to do some videos on the air crashes, and so I'm going to be doing. In this video, I'm going to be doing some of that. I'm going to be dealing with a few crashes from this year, and I'm going to tell you why they're suspicious. Again, a lot of significant numbers come up, and maybe some significant name as well, but definitely significant numbers. I'm just saying maybe about the significant name because right now I'm not looking at my notes and going by memory, but soon I'm going to show you some highlighted parts, and maybe there'll be a name that's significant, like in terms of, you'll see what I mean if it comes up. If not, the numbers are for sure very significant. Remember, Bro is a numerology enthusiast. I've mentioned that in a lot of my previous material. So keep that in mind as you watch this new information on some of the crashes from this year, okay? So just one second. I'm outside making this video in downtown Montreal, so if it gets a little bit noisy, well, I can't help that, right? Okay, so here it goes. So if you Google 2025 air crashes, like I did here, this is a screenshot of a Google I did earlier today. I'm offline now as I'm making this video, but I did this earlier. I made screenshots earlier. So this is I Googled 2025 air crashes, and you can see what came up. Well, I Googled that, and then after some stuff came up on the first page, but then I had to click on some arrows to get to the details of that. So if you Google the same thing, you'll have to click on some of the arrows on that first page, and then you'll come up with this, what you're seeing here. So it says, how many airplanes have crashed in 2025? And in brief, there have been 60 deadly aviation crashes in the United States in 2025. Now, before 2025, the most recently deadly plane crash involving a U.S. airliner was in 2009, and in that one, 188 people died. But look at the numbers. 60 deadly aviation crashes in the States in 2025. Now, I haven't done the research to see how that compares to previous years, but I'm pretty sure that for the total number of crashes, I think has been a lot higher this year, in not just in the States, but in North America overall, because there's been a number of them in Canada as well. They just weren't very prominent ones because they involve small planes, but nonetheless, it's still important. Let's see. Like I said, I haven't done the research to see on previous years how many crashes there are in typical years, but going by memory, I'm pretty sure that this year is the highest for the total number of crashes in North America in a long time. Okay, so but if it's not, I'll make a I'll make a note of that in some future video. But now going on to the details. Okay, so here's one. Here's a suspicious one right here from this year. I'm going to read it because, again, you may not be able to see it too. I'm looking through my viewfinder on my camcorder, and I'm having a bit of a hard time seeing it because of the weird lighting in here outside, the amber lights and whatnot, and then the reflections from the glass and the traffic behind me. So I'm going to read them all. But believe me, if you take a close look, if you look at the address bar up there, you put that into your own computer device, whatever, you'll come up with the same stuff. And again, if you do that search, you'll have to hit some of these arrows on the questions that they ask on their first page, right, to get to the actual details, right? But anyway, okay. So for this suspicious crash, it's a Cessna 340 crashed in a field near Midwest National Air Center Airport in Excelsior Springs, if I'm pronouncing that right, Missouri, around 12:30 p.m. Okay, now local time on Wednesday, August 27. 2 people were on board. It doesn't say whether they were injured or killed or not, but the point is the plane still crashed, right? Even if it doesn't result in a fatality, if I think it's suspicious, I still think it's important to talk about it because then it's probably a hack and crash, right? Of course, if people die, it's horrible, but even if they don't die, it's still horrible because of the risk they're being put through by the hacker, right? So what's suspicious about this crash is 12:30 p.m. Okay, well, 12:30 p.m. Okay, well, number one, you got the 12, and I was born on the 12th, right, of May. I mentioned that before. But number two, you got the 3-2-1 in reverse. 12:30 in reverse is 3-2-1. Again, zeros don't count. Zeros don't count to numerology enthusiasts like Bro. Okay, I've mentioned that many times before in my material. So going backwards. 12:30 with the zero doesn't count. You read it backwards, as numerology enthusiasts sometimes do. Consider numbers in reverse also, not just forward, right? So if you consider the number in reverse, it becomes very significant because it's 3-2-1. Okay, 3-2-1. And if you want a reminder of why 3-2-1 is a significant number, all you have to do is look at part 3 of this series, I Suspect My IT Pro Bro, okay? In this series, part 3, the very third video in this series, sorry, it's either the second or the third. I'm going by memory here. I know it's within the top 3. It's either video part number 2 or number 3. That in there, 3-2-1 comes up as a significant number in part 2 or part 3 of this series, I Suspect My IT Pro Bro, okay? Just go to part 2 or part 3. One of those videos deals with the significance of 3-2-1. It was significant in that video, and it's come up again here in reverse, okay, 12:30. So once you see the significance of that video 3-2-1, then you'll understand why it's still significant here. Now, the other thing that's significant about this, August 27, okay. Remember what I said about 27, okay? He was born on the 27th, okay? Now, it was September 27th, but it's still the 27th, right? So that's coincidence number 3, because number 1, you got the 12, right? I was born on the 12th. You got the 12 within the 12:30. Then you've got 12:30 in reverse is 3-2-1. I just explained the significance of that, which of course you'll understand better if you watch part 2 or part 3 of this series. And then you got August 27th. And again, 27 is significant. It's significant because he was born on the 27th, and it's also extra significant because August is only 1 month away from September. Now, he was born September 27. This is August 27, but it's still significant because that's only 1 off of September. And like I said in some of my previous material in this series, what I've noticed in the last year or so, give or take a month, give or take a few months, in the last year or so, I've noticed that also with the significant numbers, he also sometimes is off intentionally by one number, okay? It would seem that for some of the significant numbers he's picked, he's like, for example, that one ship that crashed into a bridge, I think it was last year, 2024. It might have been this year or last year. There was a ship in the States that crashed into some bridge pillar, and as a result, I believe part of the bridge collapsed and some people got killed. It's in one of the videos in this series. I covered it before. I don't remember which one. Anyway, that bridge was 111 years old, okay? And I said 111 was significant because it was only one digit off of 112, and he used to live on 112th Street, as I mentioned before, in Delta, BC, Canada, okay? So that's just one example of how I noticed that for some of the suspicious crashes that have been going on in the last year or so, for some of them, the digits were off. Some of the digits were off just by one, and I think he intentionally did that. So this is another example of that. August 27th is off just one digit from 9/27, his birthday, right? But even without the one, if you just disregard the one, plenty of the other numbers are still bang on, the exact numbers of significance. Like I said, the 1230, the 12 within the 12, and the 1230 backwards, 321, and of course the 27, right? Because he's born on the 27th. Okay, so there's that. Now, here's another one. On January 29 this year, 2025, Bombardier CRJ 700 airliner, operated by PSA Airlines as American Eagle, and a United States Army Sikorsky Black Hawk helicopter collided midair over the Potomac River in Washington, D.C., okay? So you might remember that one because, I mean, it's like, that was huge. That was two airliners in one crashing, right? Right? So that, again, that was the midair crash. That is significant. That is significant for a number of reasons. And if I run out of this video, because I got to keep these videos to about 15 minutes or so. So if I run out of time in this video with mentioning all the points of significance regarding this crash, I'll continue in the next video. But to start with, the glaring significant number that hit me first, as soon as I heard about this one on the news, back in January of this year, January 29. Well, January 29 written numerically is 129, right? Now, 129 is very significant because if you remember, going back to 2018, the first MAX jet crash was on October 29. Now remember, numerology enthusiasts, like I said, they disregard zeros. So October, written numerologically, is 1029, and January is 129 or 0129. Some people write down the zero before the one, whatever. The point is, October 29 and January 21. October 29 and January 29 are the exact same number written numerologically from the perspective of a numerology enthusiast. It's the exact same number because October is 1029, the zero doesn't count, so you're left with 129. January is 129, right? January is the first month, right? So January is 129, and October without the zero is 129. Okay, so so it's significant for that reason. Okay, and again, if you want more of a reminder about those MAX jet crashes, watch part 2 and or 3 of this series. I cover those MAX jet crashes in part 2 and or 3 of this series. I suspect my IT Pro bro. Okay, so watch part 2 or part 3 if you haven't already. And then you'll get a reminder of why 1029 was significant then. And it was significant then because those 4 digits, actually, I think I might also cover it in part 1 of this series. So there's a little bit about it in part 1, and I might continue in part 2 or 3. So it's either at the end of part 1 or or in part 2 or part 3 that I mentioned October 29 as being a significant date, and that the reason it's significant is because it was my longtime ex-girlfriend's four digits within her phone number. She had a 1029 in the middle of her phone number, right? And I showed that on some of the old texts that she sent me from 2017 on one of my old cell phones. I showed that in part 1 of this series toward the end of the video. It's at about the 14.5-minute mark, somewhere around there. Anyway, I got to end this now at the 15-minute mark. I'll continue this in the next video. Thanks, bye.